Guys, I decided to scrap my video on how to fix a corrupted registry because I hate Windows. I really do. I hate Windows registry. I, I hate Windows entirely, as you guys already know. I've mentioned in many of my videos, so we're going to talk about an operating system that I like. And here are like the top 10 reasons why I like Linux. Number 1, Linux has no registry, no NTFS file system, whereas Windows does, okay? And it's very rare that you'll come across a corrupted registry, and when you do, you won't boot up in Windows. You'll be greeted by a unfriendly error message saying Windows could not start because the registry has been corrupted by something. And you'll find that with Windows by your hard drive, or sometimes even the registry corrupts itself, which is more common than not. I know it sounds weird, but it's more common than not. But Linux has no registry, no NTFS file system, so there's no maintenance that has to be done, meaning defrag, disk cleanup, none of that. And the other reason that I like Linux is it's non-C platform. It's open source. Linux is open source, and that's the second reason why I like Linux. Number 3, Linux is very Linux is non-proprietary, whereas like Apple and Windows are entirely proprietary. Apple is the most proprietary company I have ever seen, and vice versa with Windows. Whereas Linux is not proprietary. Linux will allow other software to be developed. For example, if you want to run Windows-based games on a Linux operating system, you can do that, and Linux is free. That's right, I said free to download on the internet. You can download Linux for free, and you can download Cydiga, which will allow you to run Windows-based games on your Linux operating system. Reason number 4. You can play around with Linux like hell, okay? You can have amazing backgrounds, amazing desktop. You can suit it to your needs because it's open source. Reason number 5. Again, because there's no registry or NTFS file system. That's a huge one. And reason number 7, because you can get Civilization on Linux, and it's free. You can get the full version of Civilization on Linux for free. You can get the new Civilization on Linux. You can play Skyrim on Linux if you have Cydiga if you have Cydiga to run Windows-based games. Which means you still won't have to contend with an NTFS file system or a registry, because you're using Cydiga, which is a Linux program used to run Windows-based games through Linux. So, and reason number 8, Linux is fun. Linux is fun. There's no installation of drivers. There's no having to search for bad data sectors in the terminals. Again, because there's no registry and NTFS file system. You know, the NTFS file system in the registry plays a huge part in the operating system, but Linux doesn't have that, which is kind of the thing that makes it the most wonderful. Um, Reason number 9. Um, you'll find Linux, like I said, is a lot of fun. You'll find, like, you can play around with Linux until the cows come home. Whereas Windows, you can't do that because you'll break something, or you might break something. Linux, you can have fun. You can suit it to your needs. You can move everything to your needs without having to worry about viruses or registry corruption. Um, and reason number 10, I personally think, with everything I've said here today, I think everybody should be running Linux, whether it be Mint Linux, Gyro Linux, Ubuntu, uh, in any version of Linux. But you want to know why a lot of people use Windows instead of Linux? Because it's convenient. Because it's convenient and it's cheap. But Linux is cheap too. You can download Linux for free on the internet, whereas Windows system, not free, not free. And Apple is more expensive than Microsoft. Holy, I actually went into Future Shop not too long ago. You know how much Apple charges for their iPhones, for their products? Like, you're shelling out serious money, whereas you can get a better operating system, you can run Linux, you can run all your stuff. You can do all the stuff on Linux that you can do on an iPhone or an iPad or Windows. It doesn't matter. You can do all the stuff that you can do on a Windows or an Apple on a Linux, and you'll have a better operating system because you won't have to contend with viruses or corrupted registry or you know what I mean? So those are the top 10 reasons why I love Linux as opposed to Windows. Um, I am actually running Linux at the moment, of course, and I have to say, every day I use Linux. I love it more and more. Um, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, ladies and gentlemen, you can subscribe, you can comment, you can favorite, you can rate, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. And I am going to do my Star Fox 64 Let's Play. I tried to do that on a weekday. It ran late, and I had to stop, unfortunately. But I will be getting back into that. I highly recommend Linux to anyone who is looking for an open source. If you're a fan of open source, give Linux a go and tell me what you think. For the average user, however, the non-techie, the non-tech savvy, Windows, stick with Windows. Windows works fine. If it's what you're used to, and it's what you know, everybody's entitled to their personal preference. And if it's what you know, it's what you're used to, okay, fine. Me, not so much. But if you're a fan of open source as opposed to C platform, and you want something that is like you can play around with, suit to your needs more, then Linux is definitely the way to go. Please subscribe and have a great day.